Hey guys, hope you all are doing great. Welcome back to Stock My Closet. In today's video, I'm sharing 4 different ways to finish neckline. So let's get started. First is Buckram neckline finishing. And for that, I have cut out the bodies. Now I'll cut the neckline shape on the Buckram. Width of Buckram depends on the neck width. I'm taking neck width 3 inch. And I have taken 1 inch extra. So the width is 4 inch. This is on fold, so total width is 8 inch. Now neckline depth is 7 inch. I'm taking half inch extra for seam allowance. Again mark neck width point and join these points. And you can make any desired neckline shape in this box. I'm making sweetheart neckline shape. And now I'll add half inch of seam allowance. Actually 1 point more than the half inch. And now I'll cut it out. So I've cut the neckline. Now I have taken contrast piece of fabric for facing. Place the buckram on the facing like this, and now I'll make a basting stitch. So I made a stitch. Now fold the fabric over the buckram like this and again make a basting stitch to secure it. So I made a stitch and I have trimmed the extra fabric. Now I'll trim the facing in the neckline shape, leaving half inch of seam allowance. I have placed the facing on the bodies and I have pinned it up. Now I'll make a stitch in the neckline shape along the buckram. Just keep in mind you have to make stitch along the buckram and not on the buckram, because if you make stitch on the buckram, it would be difficult to fold it towards the back side and it won't give nice finishing. So I made a stitch. Now I'll trim the fabric in the neckline shape and this is how it will look. I've also made small cuts all around the neckline. Now turn the buckram towards the wrong side and this is how it will look. Now it's your choice if you want to make stitch to secure the neckline or you want to do hemming. Now I'm making basting stitch to secure the neckline, and after that I'll do hemming and I'll remove the basting stitch. So I made a stitch and with this buckram neckline is ready and this is how it will look. Next is bias tape neckline finishing, and for that I have cut out the bodies and I've cut round shape neckline. I have taken 1.5 inch wide bias tape. Now place the bias tape on the neckline and make a stitch. So I made a stitch and this is how it looks. Now fold the bias tape and press it with your nail like this. Keep the seam allowance direction towards the bias tape. Now fold it like this. And I'll make a stitch on the inner edge. So I made a stitch and this is how it looks. Now I'll trim the extra fabric and this is how it will look. And now for the final stitch, fold the bias tape towards the wrong side and make a stitch to secure it. Mostly we use bias tape finishing on the back neckline and armholes. So I made a stitch and this is how it will look. And with this, bias tape neckline finishing is ready. Next is facing neckline finishing, and for that I have cut out the bodies. Now I'll cut the neckline. Neck width is 3 inch. Neck depth is 7 inch including half inch of seam allowance. Again mark neck width point 3 inch and join these points. Now you can make any desired neckline shape in this box. I'm making rectangle shape, so I'll just cut it out. So I've cut the neckline. Now I'm using contrast color fabric as facing. This is on fold, and as you can see, you have to take seam allowance of 1 or 2 inch on the bottom and the sides of the neckline shape. Now place the facing on the right side of the bodies and pin it up. And from the wrong side, I'll make a stitch on the neckline shape. So I made a stitch. Now I'll trim the facing fabric in the neckline shape. And I've made small cuts all around the neckline. Now I'll fold the facing towards the wrong side of the fabric. And for that, just set the stitch line crease with your nail. Keep the seam allowance direction towards the facing and fold the facing towards the back side, and this is how it will look. Now fold the seam allowance and make a stitch on the outer side to secure it. It's your choice if you want to make a stitch or you can do hemming. So I made a stitch and this is how it looks. And with this, facing neckline finishing is ready. Next is piping neckline finishing. And for that, I have finished round shape buckram neckline. And I'm using 1.5 inch wide bias tape. Firstly, fold the bias tape from one side like this and make a stitch. To make stitch, I'm using contrast color thread so that you can see it properly, but you have to use same color thread. So I made a stitch. Now I'll trim the excess fabric. And this is how it will look. Now take the wrong side of neckline and place right side of piping under it like this. Keep little bit of seam allowance on the side and make a stitch on the neckline edge. Don't pull neckline or bias tape, just gently place the piping and make a stitch. So I made a stitch and this is how it looks from the back and this is from the front. Now fold the piping towards the wrong side and this is how it will look. Now I'll make a stitch on the edge of the neckline. Make stitch as close as you can to the piping. So I made a stitch and this is how it looks. Now I need to finish this piping fabric, and for that just hold the buckram and the piping fabric like this and make a stitch all around the neckline. So I made a stitch, and with this bias tape piping is ready, and this is how it looks. Thanks for watching guys. Hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and do subscribe my channel for more such videos, and I'll see you soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye.